What's up, guys? Craig Mack here, Liberty Bell Beekeeper. So I was on a removal today. This is swarm season here in Philly, and this colony swarmed, I think, 2 days ago, which time they left me with a whole bunch of queen cells in the comb. As I was looking through, I'm seeing some eggs that look a couple days old. As I was going through the brood, but not really a ton. I thought I might come across a queen. There's a possibility that the queen had got picked up, or I chased her down in the walls. It was a brick house removal, and there's lots of space in brick houses for the bees to run up and down the walls. So I actually got to run back over there because it's a bunch of young girls and they see two bees, and you know, the world's coming to an end. So first I got to put these bees to bed. So normally when I do these removals and I get a bunch of queen cells, is I'll take advantage of my 2-frame mini nucs. Made a bunch of these a few years ago, and I usually use them to make splits and make increases to my yard after I sell a bunch of nucs. And when I get situations like this, when I have a bunch of queen cells from a cutout, I'll use those in the cutout. So in this instance, I got about 8 or 9 queen cells, maybe 10 or maybe like 10 or 12, but I'm only going to split these 4 ways, so I can split the bees evenly and heavy, get a lot of bees in these boxes, because it is still a little bit cool, and I'm trying not to lose any of these, but four ways should be enough. So I'm going to go ahead and start splitting these. I can kind of show you how I go about setting my comb up. So I got a bunch of comb here with a lot of brood, and I'll try to divide that as evenly as possible. Now this piece here has 2 queen cells on it already, so I'm going to use this as one of my splits. And I'll cut it to fit the frame. What's nice about ceiling and roof joist cutouts is they're often with a 2x8 or 2x10, which makes, when I do these splits with the queen cells, I try to put 2 or 3 in each of the split. That pretty much guarantees that I should get at least 1 out of each of these colonies. Now, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but most times it works out well if you pack it with enough bees and you put 2 or 3 of those cells in each of the splits. I use my 2-frame mini nucs, which are a deep frame 2-frame mini nuc, and they work out great for these little splits and for splitting these early season cutouts that have a bunch of queen cells in them. I'll also use these if I do my splits naturally. Well, maybe not naturally, but if I do my splits out of my regular colonies, I'll oftentimes use these to make a good increase and to get myself essentially prepared for my June-July splits. Now, I don't do a ton of splits anymore because I end up with a lot of bees and a lot of colonies just through my removal work. But I also sell a lot of queens in midsummer to people who are making their midsummer splits. So it's nice to have 10 or 12 of these 2 frames hanging around. And that way I have those queens available. I also sell these 2-frame splits, these 2-frame mini nucs, as a package itself, and a lot of times it works well, especially if you're going queenless, or if you run into a problem with laying worker or something like that, where you can transfer a queen with some active brood into a larger colony. That doesn't always work out with laying workers, but these 2-frame splits, I do sell them as its own entity. Instead of just selling the mated queen, I sell the 2 frames for not that much more. Basically just cover the cost of my frames. But This all works well. I dump the bees out. Do my best to spread them out evenly. A lot of these bees are nurse bees, and they weren't flyers at this point, so they tend to take to these splits pretty well this time of the year. I do my best to try to equalize the populations. They tend to go towards the center frames because that's initially where I dump, but I do push the bees around a little bit, and I will double check these in a day or two to make sure that they're all good. So that's how I do these splits early in the year when I come across a bunch of queen cells from cutouts. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching.